Good morning, everyone. I am happy to have you again here on our live webinar series with Strategy Up about the challenges and opportunities of going digital in 2021. I want to welcome our audience who is with us on Facebook and on Zoom. And I want also to welcome my guest today. My guest is Andrew Palmer, who's the general manager of Blomidon Nurseries out in the valley in Nova Scotia. So good morning, good afternoon, actually, Andrew, and welcome to this webinar. I really appreciate your time, which you are having with us over here. Please take a couple of minutes and introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Mark. As you know, my name's Andrew. I've been here as general manager of Blomidon Nurseries for about 12 years now. The staff had told me last week, and I started at 18 in the horticultural industry, in the golf industry actually, on a shovel. And just through interest in horticulture, I went to school, and through a lot of mentorship through my career and continuing mentorship with people who I trust, I came to this position now where I am now. So it's been quite an interesting progression for myself. So.
Wow, this is amazing. I know that being so long in an industry, I am sure you have great insight to share with us. You have great things to tell us about not only what the industry is about, but also we're trying to talk about the digital opportunities. It's interesting to understand where do you stand now? What have you been doing? What are your own challenges? How are you overcoming them? And this is actually the main objective of today's discussion. Before we just dive directly into the topic, as always, I want to thank our platinum sponsor, Agora Office Space, where we are broadcasting live here in Nova Scotia from Bedford. They are sharing with us their studio, and this is from where we're using all the equipment for our live broadcast. I also want to thank our strategic partner, the Chartered Institute of Marketing Management of Ontario. I am a proud member of this organization. I am also the Chief Strategy Officer of CIMO, and it is an organization that is in a way having a mission to have ethical marketing and introducing the ethical marketing to the young generation. So having said this, I want to talk now with Andrew and understand. Tell us a little bit, we all are going, or we are still going through the pandemic and trying to get out of it. Tell me a little bit, what were your major challenges for the past 12 to 18 months?
Wow. Well, I'll start this a little bit of a story that pre-COVID, last January, we made the decision here we had an e-commerce site running.
Mm-hmm.
We actually made the decision to shut that down. So
Wow.
I canceled the subscriptions. I turned the website back into strictly a WordPress site, and then simply because the cost revenue wasn't giving me any benefit.
Okay.
So COVID started, and the social aspect here at Blomidon Nurseries, we look at the social piece of our business as a number of things. One is the phone, the social media sites, and the website.
Okay.
So when COVID started, the phone blew up. The social media sites blew up.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to come up with a way to handle all that, those questions and inquiries. And then we had to reinvest into a WooCommerce WordPress site, and linking our point of sale inventory to it as well. So there were some challenges around that for us, of course. Yes.
Yeah. So I hear you, and I know that usually, like most of the businesses here, when we talk about family businesses or small medium enterprises, we know that we don't have like huge teams, and we don't have like hundreds of employees. So tell me a little bit about the challenges, as from a resource point of view, and how you as a general manager you had to start learning maybe the ins and out of digital marketing and the e-commerce platform. So tell me a little bit about your journey, how you were able to cope with all this.
Well, it it took a lot of thought, and it took a lot of consultation with this team here. Uh, First thing we had to deal with is, how do we deal with the phone?
Yeah.
How do we deal with the calls? Like, we were dealing with 50 messages a day on our voicemail. We had to figure out how to get. We had to reassign our resources to say, you know what, the phone is now an important piece of our business, and put people into a room to answer the phone. We put people into a room, they answer the social media piece. So that was some IT infrastructure upgrades, and some walls put up, and a door, and a few desks. But it's the people we had to find to work those tables that really made the difference for us on that side. E-commerce side, a lot of research had to go on that. I mean, we couldn't invest in a new point of sale system because we're already heavy invested in what we had now. So we had to find a product that would integrate with our current point of sale system for our inventory and pricing, etc. So we found a partner who does that integration. Again, had to make some investments in technology to make that communication happen. Is it perfect? By no means is it perfect today. It's a continuing process. And once we enter this digital marketing e-commerce world, it becomes another challenge in just maintaining that piece. It's almost its own store in itself.
Yeah, I hear you. It's really tough, but I can really appreciate what you try to do, because on top of your day-to-day operations, right, the job which you have to manage a company, to run the operation, to make sure that you have everything from supply chain to the consumer, right? And then you had to do all this internally. So when we were talking, or when you were thinking about e-commerce, I know that in your business you are targeting definitely two different major segments. You are into wholesale and B2B, and as well you are somehow into consumer. So you were mainly trying to get into the consumer markets, right, when you had the e-commerce platform in mind?
Yeah, here we believe, I mean, that the wholesale market is a person-to-person communication. The consumer market is a whole different piece of it. The consumer is looking for information before they make a purchase decision. So we had to put as much information online in our social media to help them make that decision. We're not fortunate enough at this point to have a dedicated IT specialist in our organization.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important that we try to keep it as minimalist as we can, but still put the information out there that they can make a decision on.
Yeah.
The consumer is a very demanding customer. So we really had to, focus on that consumer that doesn't come to the store, but shops from home. So yeah.
Yeah, and especially during the pandemic, there was a hype in terms of online shopping and curbside delivery, or even full delivery to the home or to the premises, right? And this is like adding an additional level of complexity into the operation, right?
Absolutely, and it wasn't without its challenges or obstacles or upset customers. We had to deal with the highs and lows of it, and we still continue to deal with the highs and lows of it. So.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I cannot just not ask you this question, because you just mentioned that you don't have internally people who are dedicated to your either IT infrastructure or to the operation of running an e-commerce platform or what comes with it. Have you ever thought of an outsourcing opportunity, and what were your thoughts about it? What were the pros and cons? If you, because I am just trying to understand from a perspective of general manager, and this is especially for our audience who is listening to us and watching us, is what is the checklist? What are the key things as a general manager of an organization you are really thinking about to decide if you want to outsource or keep it in-house, or what we call insource?
Well, Mark, I mean, I'm going to throw out some buzzwords that are used a lot in business industry.
Uh-huh.
It really comes down to alignment for me
Yeah.
when I'm outsourcing work. I have no problem outsourcing work. I I do find the challenge with our industry is that we have 700 varieties of perennials. We have, we're so vast in our product offering. It's hard to get the contractor you're working with
Yeah.
to really understand your business model, and that takes a lot of. It's more than sometimes it's more than an hour Zoom call. It's a lot of research on their part. So when I'm looking for people to partner with, yes, it's great to be the home gardener,
Yeah.
but we're still a farm and we still produce a lot of product. We still have there's still some things going on there. The analogy is when I started here 11 years ago, everything is in Latin. Like a rose bush is there's a Latin for everything.
Yeah.
So you have to learn the lingo to be able to communicate it out to the customer. So
Wow, yeah, I totally understand, especially, when you come from industries that have their own, I would say, specifications, right? And as you said, like lingos or jargon or trying to understand what the consumer wants. So, before just going back to the digital environment, I think it's very important for us to understand what really Blomidon Nurseries is doing. So can you just give us a little bit uh, what is the main thing or the main activity which you are taking care of, and who is potentially your ideal customer?
wow, a lot of questions there. Ideal customer is anyone interested in gardening. We've seen a huge uptake in food like vegetables. We've seen a huge uptake in landscaping, people improving their yards.
Uh-huh.
We've seen that through our wholesale side, that people just are putting money into their properties. Um, Digitally, we're trying to educate people on plants and what makes a good plant for this environment. How do you the simplicity of growing your own vegetables. The challenge is that for us is there's so much you can say in
Yeah.
your digital world, uh, and I mean, how do you gauge the return in the digital world? It's a tough thing. I mean, that's something I struggle with in all the years I've been here. Like, how do you gauge success in your digital world? I guess is. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, from what I see from my own business and interaction with customers is that uh, what comes first is all the time educating the customer about the products or what they can do, and they need to visualize the end result before they start engaging. And because gardening, I think it's in a way a long process. It's like you don't just plant something today and in 24 hours you will see it happening, right? So you need to know. And I can tell you, like, I tried, for example, to grow something at home, like in small pots, like we tried the wild blackberries, and they never grew. Now, actually, I am trying the papaya seeds, and again, it's not growing. But the only thing that is growing, which is very easy, is the green onion.
And
So,
that's the challenge, Mark. You're going to find in my industry is that you're going to get the new gardeners who were home the last year and a half, who needed something to do.
yeah,
The question is going to be, once we're past the COVID world, are they still going to be engaged in the gardening world?
yeah.
And that's something we're seriously looking at this season. How do you keep them engaged
Yeah.
after
You,
things are gone?
personally, I think they will, because, the human mind works in a very beautiful way. Is that in a way you need a certain period of time to change a habit or to build a habit. And I think COVID was a long period, enough long period for us to start building new habits. And in my personal opinion, it's not yet based on any research, but I believe that the consumers or the people who already are at it are going to continue for a while, because once you get invested in it and your interest is rising, you're not going to stop. The only thing is that I need to see result. Like if I will continue trying to grow seeds and I will see them like not blooming or not even having a sprout, maybe after a season or two, I might give up. But if I get enough education and I get some guidance, right? And I can go to a source like yours by saying, hey, listen, I have these seeds. What do you think? How can I do it? Or I have this plant, or I have this tree, or I have this, I don't know, yard. I need to do landscaping. I need to fix it. How can you help me? I think this is where the habit will stay, only if we can see good results. And I think this is where you come as an expert. What do you think about that?
Oh, I agree. I mean, 100% what you're saying. I think the big thing about the nursery industry, the horticulture industry, it's a very visual thing, right? And I mean, if you're growing your own carrots and you only have, a half dozen carrots that survive in your garden and you have them on your plate, you feel pretty proud of them. If you planted a magnolia tree and it comes in bloom for you and you're like, I planted that and look what it did, it's a very visual thing. Yeah. So when we look at our digital world moving forward, for us, it's visualizations, right? And that's a very important piece of it, because people buy on sight, on a vision, on either a first impression of a rose bush or a magnolia or a blueberry bush. They buy on that. So
yes, of course. I totally agree with you. It's not only the visualization, but I think it's the variety of colors as well. It's like when we say visual, is that you see the output, but also the more you have this variety of colors and the variety of different plants and seeds and trees, you will feel, I think, more complete in terms of someone who is loving this kind of activities. So, now that we understand a little bit what you're doing, and I want to go back to the digital part, is you spoke a little bit at the beginning about your e-commerce platform that so did I understand well? So now it's still on, or you are still invested in it, right? So you are.
Oh, yeah. We have reinvested heavily into it.
Okay.
The challenge we have right now is accessing the source material, like photography, description fields. The biggest thing I can tell anybody who's getting into e-commerce is that you have to buy your photos.
Yeah.
You can't strip a photo off of Google and say, hey, this is a nice rose bush, right? You need to invest in photography, either your own or through some stock photography that you can buy. The e-commerce is, we're working on description fields. The challenge for us is that people just don't want to buy that. They want all the information around it. So it's just not, unless they're really avid gardener and know what they want and know this is the variety they want, it's hard for an e-commerce platform like ourselves to facilitate that. We're finding a lot of our e-commerce platform is actually used as more of a reference guide. So people will use the e-com site and go, oh, I see you have this particular plant. And they'll send us an email. Can you tell me more about it? What type of fertilizer is it like? What type, does it have to be in sun or shade? So there's so much detail we have to work at putting into our e-commerce site to give them all the information they need to hit the purchase button through the site. They still hit the purchase button, but they're hitting it, it's coming through as me directly, as opposed to what the e-commerce site's designed to do.
Wow, what you're saying is really resonating with actually the session or the live webinar which I had last week, because we had a guest who was an expert in Shopify, and he's based out of Ireland, and we had a really long discussion about exactly what you are talking about, Andrew, is about content management on an e-commerce platform is very important. And the main things which we discussed about were the photography, the images which you are using, and also the copywriting around it. And if you allow me, I will just elaborate a little bit around it, because this is very important for SEOs, right? To get organically found on search engines. many people, what they are doing is that they are taking the default description that is coming from the supplier, and they just load it into their website, onto their e-commerce platform. What's happening is that people like you, for example, or companies like you are getting the supply from the same supplier, you know, and you might be like 10 different nurseries who are getting the same product, and then you put them all on the same description online. Then you're going to be penalized on Google search, for example, because they are going to see that this is duplicate content, right? Especially that people who are not really touching and doing any copywriting. And then Google is going to put you at the bottom of the page because they say duplicate content is not interesting enough, and Google is all the time favoring the unique content, the original content. So what is very important definitely is to rewrite all the descriptions. And as you said, is to add some additional information so that the customer will feel confident enough in order to purchase this product. Because as you see, buying a seed or any plant at the end of the day is the tip of the iceberg. You still need to have the right soil, the right fertilizers, the right tools, and then they need to understand, if I want to start into this, what it means for me in terms of cost as well, in terms of availability and imagery. Image is super important. Even if we talk about stock image, you know, the consumer have a feel about it, is that they still want to see a real image that is coming directly from your own environment, right? Because stock image, people will think, yeah, it's a great image, but this is not the real one, right? It could be photoshopped, it could be fake, it could be I don't know what. So a real image and copywriting are, how to say, how can I just emphasize on it enough to say that these are the utmost important things in an e-commerce platform, on top of the sales funnel, which we can talk about later. But you are really on, you hit the nail on the head exactly over here, Andrew. And I understand the challenge because content management, content creation requires lots of time. It's like a full-time job almost, right?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can say to that is, if you're going to play in the e-commerce world, the social media world, it's not organic. You have to. There is a monetary investment in that,
Yeah.
and you have to be prepared for that. And your results that you get out of that will be directly contributed to how much you're willing to invest monetarily into it. And that's the struggle with small business, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And now I want to just go back into the sales funnel. Just before going into this, have you invested a little bit, or have you researched? Because I see that you are a lot interested in all this, and you are in a way educating yourself about this. Did you implement any sales funnel into your e-commerce platform, or not yet?
Not yet. We use a sales funnel within our wholesale division, which is
Okay.
non-electronic. It's you put the contacts, the leads in the top, and you just flush them out to the bottom, and you do your plan, do, check, act every day, and you just work through that.
Mhm.
On the consumer side, no, we haven't got to that point with that. And when I talk about contractors, I think that's a piece in our organization where we're going to need some help on to work that. I think that's going to be very important for our business in the coming year, to get the sales funnel piece sorted out.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the sales funnel, especially online, is very important because as much as the customer is interested in buying, they still need to have a logical flow to the website, especially when we are talking about us as small businesses. I am not talking that we are the Amazons of the world, right, and the eBays of the world, where you can directly take someone to the store, and from there, from the product description, they can directly click on buy and they would start buying. We need to put more efforts in terms of the story we want to tell to the customers, so that they are interested enough and they have the trust to just purchase because the logic and the story was compelling, right? And this is, again, it's a struggle which I see across many industries, especially with many of our current customers, where we are helping them on building their digital strategy and doing the implementation of the social media management and this kind of stuff. We always see that the sales funnel is a little bit forgotten, because we are all eager to sell and we just want to bring anyone to the store. And one of the pitfalls of this, especially as a small business, is that our consumer doesn't think like this. You need to convince them a little bit more, because we're not yet the Amazons of this world, right?
Right.
So this is really a great challenge. And this is why we're talking about the challenges. But once you overcome this, you are converting it into an amazing opportunity, because, as we said, we're going to build habits. And COVID, the pandemic, and even right now, pushed us to start purchasing online, and at least to order online. And we increased our habit on these clicks, and adding the credit card and paying. So it's I think it's inevitable to have something that is talking to our customers. So we spoke about the platform. We spoke about your challenges around the e-commerce and the opportunities which you're trying to create for your business, which is great, because you are really on top of it. And I know that we spoke a little bit in the past. Tell me a little bit how you are building customer loyalty. What are what is the opportunity which you are having to have more customer loyalty around your brand and around your store and around your products?
It's challenging. It used to be easier pre-COVID. I mean, we had trade shows we were at. People always talked we'll be down in the spring. We're a 50-year business, right? We have a loyal following now. For us, it's defining the programs that matter to the consumer. I mean, we have a VIP Garden Club program, which offers them a 10% discount on their purchase once they join. And they get a spiff gift card when they engage in that. Do we do enough with that? No, and that's no one's fault except time, right?
We always wish to have more time, right? For everything, I think.
Yeah. Because when you build a list like that, a VIP Garden Club list, there's a list of customers in that. It could be 1,000 customers for us right now. Well, that's 1,000 customers that saw value in your business. If all you're communicating with right now, and this is our struggle, is we're communicating in a sense that, okay, we have 1,000 people in the club. That's it. We're not doing more as far as reaching out to those individuals who cared enough to sign up. What more can we do for them? But I think that's the struggle with loyalty, right? You become another points card that you see in the other stores. There's nothing really built around loyalty with those in small business, because you just become another points card. So we're working on trying to augment that piece of it. So it's more of an engagement education side of it, not just, hey, sign up for a discount. So that's the challenge there with that.
Yes, definitely. And again, I want to go back to one of the earliest webinars which I had this year. Back in January, we really discussed about loyalty marketing. So we had one session that is only focusing on loyalty marketing, and we were discussing about the challenges, and we were discussing about how not to be just another card or loyalty program that is just offering another simple discount. How to bring value into your own loyalty program and the customer value management. This is how I would call it. So definitely it is very challenging, and I agree with you. Time maybe is our biggest enemy, because all these really require lots of preparation, brainstorming, thinking, and then go to execution, and then go into testing a program, and then to launch it successfully, and then manage it after that, right? So it is a very, very important process. But again, I am sure that there are lots of solutions, and this is what we discussed about back in January, is that they are low-hanging fruits, great enough for small, medium enterprises, not expensive at all as well, that could really help small businesses. So I really encourage everyone who is listening to us and watching us today is to think about loyalty marketing in a different way, that it is not only a simple discount, it's more about customer engagement, right? And Andrew, I hear I feel your pain, and I hear you how this is tough to handle. And
I think we get drawn into assigning resources to the things that we think matter. When I say resources, I'm talking about staffing, employees, technology, etc.
yeah,
But then we bring in a loyalty program. Oh yeah, now we have to manage that piece of it. So that's going to take the resources that we assign to the cashier or to the production side or to the sales side. You have to make an adjustment to put some resources like that into your loyalty program, and that's into your marketing side.
yes.
So small business today is with marketing is becoming more dynamic. You want to play if you want to play bigger,
Yeah.
but you don't know how to play bigger, right?
Yeah, and honestly, this is why sometimes outsourcing a project is very important, because and I will go back into the technology and the technology of today, and you have lots of solutions that are off the shelf, that they are on a cloud based, and the key of success is automation, so that you reduce all this overhead and all this additional work, as you said, to the cashier or the people on the floor in the store, or people who are really in the even back office to process, right? And the most important thing, and we discussed last week, even on Shopify as a platform, and I am sure you said that you're using WooCommerce on WordPress. There are definitely plugins and solutions that are doing this. It's like how you automate all this, how you automate your newsletters, how you automate your engagement, how you automate the communication with your customer when they have an abandoned cart, for example, on the e-commerce platform, how you send communication as in a way, you say a health check, right? How I am checking on you, right? Don't forget about us. We have this for you, that is actually personalized based on historical interaction with your e-commerce platform, right? Like, for example, if I am someone who historically only interacted, let's say, with plants, then you can automate a communication to remind me that you have, for example, a new arrival, a new thing, a new season about plants, and you don't start talking to me about trees or about the tools, because I am not interested in this. So, and I understand if you want to go one by one for your 1,000 customers, and you want to do this manually, right? It's an impossible job.
I think we've talked before, Mark, though, that the piece of your digital marketing piece has to go back to a social calendar, your marketing calendar.
Yes.
If you don't have a marketing calendar, you're waking up on Monday morning thinking, what I got to do this week for marketing. And that's where the pressure comes into small business on that, because you're in a reactive approach instead of a proactive approach to your marketing strategy. And that's where you hit the roadblocks in your mind to get it done.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, developing a marketing calendar has to happen to have success in the digital world.
Thank you, Andrew, for saying this. I think this is a key word, and it's not only a keyword, it's the key activity. And as you said, it is the first step which you need to do. Once you have all the technology around you, it's not enough. You need to make sure that you have the calendar, as you said, because you cannot just wake up in the morning and say, okay, what shall I do today? And then you don't have a plan. You don't know what to correlate to this activity, what you want to achieve out of that. I totally agree. And that a marketing or social media calendar is the most important point in terms of planning, so that you have a successful campaign and successful engagement rate, because we see that and we discussed this before, is that engagement rate, you see how it is low when you have stock images, when you just wake up and do something, that is very ad hoc or sporadic, rather than having a consistent content and the story to tell. And then we understand how the engagement rate is really going up. So I totally agree with you. So going back into this, so we saw. Are you using any additional tools in the business to handle your digital communication? So we know that you have an e-commerce platform. That's great. We know that you have a loyalty program, which is, maybe a hybrid model, or you say that it's not perfect. I think anyway, the world is not perfect, so I am not really worried about that. But are you using any more tools which you can recommend to our audience? Like, what is really helping you in your day-to-day digital engagement?
Well, the first thing I'll say to any business leader in an organization is you can't do it all yourself, right? You can't be the guy answering, or the guy or girl answering all the emails that come through, all the Facebook posts that come through. You can't be that. Mm-hmm. We've looked at, we actually subscribe to a platform that monitors all of our channels, which allows us to actually create our posts, set our calendar for our posts. Within the Facebook side, it actually consolidates all the messages coming into Facebook into one group inbox.
Yeah.
So if there's a question that maybe I have the ability to answer, I can answer that, and everyone will see that it has been answered. There might be a technical question on plant material, which has to go to, Jackie, my plant guru, and been here 30 years. She can answer that, or it might be just a general question on price that the retail team can answer it. So we've invested in those types of software platforms that allow us to keep track of what's happening in our engagement. We also have another one that monitors our Google reviews. I mean, things we've learned that you need to reply to every review that comes into your site through Google, whether it's a good one or a bad one. You need to comment on it. We started engaging in that a bit to drive our Google presence up. Google AdWords campaign we did last year. We see the results on that. So you need to monitor things and see where. The hardest part for me is just understanding the matrix. What the information, what's that telling you? Like, you could have this many hits on your webpage or this many hits on your Google AdWords campaign. How's that translating to the store sales? Because we all want to know what our investment's doing.
Yes.
Right? It doesn't matter if it's your retirement fund or your marketing fund. You want to know how that investment is doing, and that's the challenge we find. What's that number telling us? And that's where we look at consultants and people who manage that for us to say yes. And there has to be a trust with your consultant. You have to understand, if they're there for the contract, you don't want to be signing up for them if they're pushing that. If they want to work with you to help grow your business, you have the feeling, you'll know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. And I always say data is information, but analyzed data is knowledge, right? So as you said, you can collect as much and as many data points you can collect, but if you don't do anything with them, if you don't know how to analyze them, you don't know how to slice them and dice them, and you don't know how to correlate them, or not only you don't know, if you don't have the time, right? Let's go back to our first enemy, right? So if we don't have the time, then what are we going to achieve out of that? And of course, this is one of the biggest challenge, right? Like right now we are into an exercise with one of our customers working on Google Ads campaign, and we are now just analyzing the keywords, right? Because when you want to do a Google ad, you need to understand what is important for your audience, what worked in the past, what are the trends, and it's the same, because if you take these keywords, then you think outside of a Google ad or an ad campaign, whether it is Google, Instagram, whatever you want, TikTok, think about them all. then you can think about your organic search, which is the SEO management. At the end of the day, your best friend, your least expensive and your best friend is proper SEO management, because this is all organic growth that doesn't necessitate any paid advertising. And if you are good at it, and I've seen lots of blogs from very prominent people into the SEO management environment and ecosystem, and they just say that if you are good at your SEO management, you might not need to do advertisement at all. Because at the end of the day, your ad is being triggered based on a keyword search. So if you are able to handle this in your SEO management through your organic growth, then you don't have to pay for the ad, because you will be ranked #1 on the page as an organic search.
I think it's very important too for business operators to don't get wrapped up in all the data. Pick a few.
Yeah.
Pick maybe 5 things you want to measure and just focus on the 5 things, right? Because if you try to focus on the 100 or more things you can measure on an SEO or on what's happening on your social media, you won't understand it. You won't get a gratitude out of it, right?
Yeah.
You want to pick likes on Facebook, pick likes on Facebook, realizing you have to pay for likes, right? Right. If you want to get post engagement, pick post engagement. If you want to go, we use tickets a lot in our average ticket a lot in our consumers, what the average ticket is based on, so we look at that one. But our point of sale will give us so much data that I tend not to share it, because it turns out it can wrap a lot of people up into in things that really don't matter.
Yeah. Because we need to know when data will start becoming noise and distraction, right? So we need to make sure that we're not swamped into unnecessary gathering of information and going, like, in a way, chasing our tail to make sure to try to understand what's going on. And I totally agree with you. You need to pick what I call pick your fights, or pick your battles with the social media environment. I would say always focus on 1, 2, 3 things at the maximum on if you are using different channels, right? Like, for example, if you are using Facebook, you want to have more likes and engagement. Maybe if you're using Google Ads, you need at the end of the day to have the real conversion into the dollar figure, right? And this would be more than enough. And then you build everything around that, from technology to sales funnels to logic to product description, imagery, and whatever you want around it. And this is enough to keep you busy, not only for 1 year, but for years, to master the process, right? And this is very important. We always say that you don't have to do too many things to be successful, because when you have what we call the minimum viable product for you, what is the MVP online, right? What is the minimum thing that you want to do so that you are surviving as a business? And what we call also, what is the magnet product? So you always have a product or a service that is the star. Like, everything starts there, and then all the cross sale and the upsale will happen from there. And this is very important, because if you want to start doing, as you said, many campaigns, first of all, it's extremely costly, right? To do Google Ads on so different campaigns simultaneously, reaching different target audiences. It will be extremely costly for small businesses. And this is why I go back. SEO management is the most important thing. It's your friend. Consider like the loyal friend who is next to you, trying to help you grow a business, and this is SEO management. So yeah, I totally agree with you, Andrew. And thank you so much for bringing up all these challenges, because you've been there, right? And I think it wasn't, I would say, an easy journey for you, but at some point you reach a level where you are starting, or you already getting enough traction, right?
Yeah, we saw a large result in our social world last year. And again, I had to quantify what social means to Blomidon. I call it the phone, the social media, and the website.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I encompass in social for our organization. All 3 of those worked well together. Um, where do I see? I see a lot of that continuing this year on the phone. Like, yeah, but will that go away? Some of it will diminish, but it's not never going to go totally away for you on that side. Yes. So we did see a considerable increase in that opportunity for the business.
Yeah, that's great, and I like how you define social and you still say phone is social, because I totally agree with you that at some point, as much as the ecosystem and our environment is pushing us to go online, we shouldn't forget the offline interaction, right? The social interaction, which is not the social media, not the digital media interaction, but it's all about talking to people. And now, actually, we are blessed in Nova Scotia as a province that the pandemic hit us, but it didn't hit us so much that we were almost having almost a normal life. People were still able to go to stores with social distancing, and we shouldn't forget this, right? So you are still trying to bring people to your store and have this physical interaction with your customers.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't suffer the negative consequences of COVID. We suffered. We had the opposite of that in our industry. In the horticulture industry, did quite well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's continuing being, working that piece of it, and it's not going to go away. I mean, people in our customer base and our current customer base are looking for information before, and if someone's contacting you through social media or the phone, they're looking to spend their money with you. So it's important that you're able to respond and quick enough so that you can capture that sale.
Yes. I totally agree that at some point we need to know how to do at the end the conversion rate, right? How to convert a visitor to a store or a visitor to an e-commerce store or any kind of interaction from information to sales, right? And or I always say, even in the digital, even in the real world, maybe not everything is a dollar figure as an immediate consequences, right? It could be that, as you said, I want to have more likes, I want to have more engagement, I want to have people sharing my post more with a wider audience, because I need to increase my brand awareness and my brand reach. So depending on the target or the objective of the campaign, we need to find the right conversion rate. And here it could be completely different based on the objectives of each campaign. I totally agree with you. And I am a big believer of combining all the time what we call the online and the offline engagement with our customers, and even the marketing efforts and communication. We saw many companies reducing their marketing budget or limiting the marketing budget only to digital, right? And one of the major pitfalls is that not all your audience is online. Some of your audience, like some of your market or segment, is not online or will not engage with anything that is online. So, and this is what you're doing. This is what you're trying to do by combining these two. That's really amazing. I don't know, Andrew, if you are realizing, but we already passed the 47 minutes mark
Wow.
for our discussion. It's really great discussion. Like it passed so fast. But again, our promise is that not to go beyond the 1 hour webinar series. So I want to stay within this time limit. I want to ask you, about your final thoughts about any advice you can give to companies that are small, medium enterprises, family-owned businesses in our area. What are like the few recommendations which you give them if they want to embark on this digital journey, or if they want to improve their digital presence?
A very strong mentor of mine once said, and I use this like whenever I'm feeling distracted and Blomidon about the direction we should go, is that you need to keep the main thing the main thing. And in Blomidon's case, we sell plant material and the things that go along with plant material. So when we get distracted, we're trying to sell other things that may not tie in well with that. I just think of that. So I can, there's opportunities in right now for small business. Focus on the main thing. If you're interested in the e-commerce sites, there are a lot of products out there that I've explored that can allow you to put a few things online, things that you can manage. I think one of our struggles is, and this is that we got so much inventory, so many varieties of things that we're actually looking at scaling back some of our online offerings. So if you want to put some stuff online, look at your inventory, look at what you sell, and just put that stuff online. And then, you can note the additional side. Don't try to do social media all by yourself. Look at if you have some long-term staff who are keen on that, that you trust with posting. Let them have an editor role or a monitor role on your social media that they can reply to some of the stuff, so the pressure is not all on you. There are fairly some cost-effective ways to monitor all your social media side. So just look at that side. Back to e-commerce. Work on your website. If choose a platform and stick with it. Keep it simple. Information. Make sure your phone number is somewhere on there.
The basics, right?
The basics. We're exploring putting a chat box on our website, so people can actually engage with a staff member or send an email directly from a chatbot side. So that's something you may want to consider. But don't think you have to have the Cadillac right away. Work the small things. There's lots of Nova Scotia maritime businesses that can help you with that are fairly. That's not going to cost you a lot of money. It's not going to be a huge investment on your part. That can get you started, right? The first thing is just sit down with your team and have a meeting and say, what do you want to do on your e-commerce? What do you want it to be? And there's nothing wrong with just selling gift cards in e-commerce. That's how we started, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Andrew. It's like I think big success start with simple stuff, right? But still, when you have a simple approach, you need to be strategic about it. Like you need to build the right strategy before going simple. Otherwise, you will be very simplistic, and then you're not going to be engaging enough, and then your customers will not see you sophisticated enough compared to the competition. So yeah, I totally agree with you. And yeah, stick to what you do best, especially when you go online. I know that the opportunities are great. I know that people would say, oh, this is easy, cost is low, I can definitely do that, I can definitely add this to my portfolio, no problem. And then all of a sudden you understand that it's like a completely new process, it's a completely new operation, and then you say, no, I cannot do it. Or you're going to do it like what I call it half cooked, and then you're not going to see the result, or you're going to see lots of customer complaints or lots of negative feedback, and this is something which you don't want, right? Unfortunately, you cannot delete the negative feedback from the internet. At some point, someone is going to see it again, so you don't want to have this. So I totally agree. And adding a feature like a chat feature on your website is definitely important. Today it's like it's a hype, like either having a chat bot or a live chat. I have it on all my websites. I always ask our customers to think about it. You have lots of free solutions, right? Of course, I always say free will take you up to a certain level, but at some point, once you want to be more professional and get more features out of the solution, most probably you need to go to the paid version, but you don't have to jump directly from day one into the paid version. So I totally agree with you. So thank you so much, Andrew, for your time, for this amazing storytelling and sharing really your deep challenges and the opportunities which you were able to create at the end of the day out of the business, which is really amazing, because I can tell you, not everyone is able to convert a challenge into an opportunity, or or actually identify an opportunity and build on it so that it becomes a mainstream revenue stream, actually. So I want to thank you about this. You have something else to add before we?
I would say, Mark, I appreciate you having me on your program here today, and more than welcome. I'm more than happy to talk to other small business owners about the challenges and have a conversation. That's the way we learn. That's the way we share our grief and we share our successes.
Yeah.
And I learn a lot from talking to other business owners, and I'd be more than welcome to talk to anyone else who wishes to have a conversation with me.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Andrew. I really appreciate it. And if anyone wants to talk to Andrew, so please either reach out directly to him or let me know and I will connect you. I want to thank our audience for watching us today and for being here with us. And I want to just mention that next week we're going to have a new guest. Please visit our website, mystrategyhub.com. You will have all the lineup for March, and also we announced April last week, so we already have a confirmed lineup for April, and then we'll be announcing our lineup for May in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned, follow us, follow all our guests. They are really amazing in what they are doing. And Andrew, once again, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it, and I want to wish you a great day. And I am sure that this is not the last time we're going to talk.
Very good. Thank you, Mark.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.